California at the bottom of a new real estate list. A Zillow report of the hottest housing markets in 2025 shows several major California cities were beaten out by markets in the Northeast and Midwest.
It's official. California, once the land of golden dreams and endless opportunity, is now the epicenter of America's next financial disaster. Governor Gavin Newsom stands before cameras, promising bold solutions. But behind the polished speeches and political optimism, the numbers tell a different story. Homes sitting unsold for months, families leaving in droves. And the worst part? This isn't just California's problem anymore, it's spreading. From Texas to Florida, from New York to Nevada, the cracks in America's housing foundation are widening. Experts are warning, California was just the beginning. So what went wrong? And how close are we to the collapse no one wants to talk about? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how America's housing dream turned into its biggest ticking time bomb. This is Housing Report, where we break down the stories behind the markets shaping your future. If you care about your money, your home, or the truth the mainstream headlines skip over, then hit that subscribe button right now. Because what's happening in the US housing market in 2025 is not just a California issue, it's a nationwide warning. Mortgage rates stuck at record highs, affordability collapsing to 40-year lows, and middle-class Americans slowly realizing the American dream might not include a home anymore. In this episode, we'll uncover why California's housing crisis is the canary in the coal mine for the entire country, how government policies, interest rates, and investor greed combined into a perfect economic storm, and what the next 12 months could mean for millions of homeowners and renters across America. So grab a coffee. This is one video you'll want to watch until the very end. What you're about to hear could change how you see the housing market forever. Section 1. How it started. The California Syndrome. Let's rewind. California has always been the dream. Ocean views, tech money, sunshine, and wealth. But behind the postcard skyline, something darker was brewing. For decades, the state built fewer homes than almost anywhere else in America relative to demand. Zoning laws made it nearly impossible to expand supply. And when COVID hit in 2020, low interest rates and investor demand sent prices to the moon. By 2025, the average Californian home costs over $900,000. And according to the state's own legislative analyst's office, a mid-tier home now demands monthly payments exceeding $5,900, up 82% since 2020. To afford that, you'd need to make about $237,000 a year. That's not a dream anymore, that's a trap. Most Californians are nowhere near that. Teachers, nurses, small business owners, priced out of their own communities. And while politicians like Gavin Newsom promise housing reform and rent relief, the reality is far harsher. California has built only a fraction of what's needed. So when the housing bubble in California began to wobble, it sent shockwaves across the entire country. Section 2. The Hidden Trap. America's Silent Crisis. Here's the truth most people don't realize. California isn't an outlier, it's a blueprint, because the same problems hitting Los Angeles and San Francisco are now unfolding in Austin, Phoenix, Miami, and even suburban Ohio. Why? 2 words. Borrowing costs. In 2025, according to Reuters, new home sales in the US have fallen sharply as high borrowing costs suffocate demand. The median new home price plunged nearly 6% year over year to around $403,800. Meanwhile, the number of unsold homes? Highest in 16 years. Think about that. Builders can't sell, buyers can't afford, and those who already own are trapped, sitting on ultra-low 3% mortgages they can't walk away from. It's a frozen market, a stalemate. And in economic terms, that's how bubbles start to break. Across the nation, housing affordability has reached its worst point since the early 1980s. According to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index, home prices have already declined for 4 consecutive months. That may sound small, but historically, that's how every major correction begins. And if California's trajectory is any clue, the rest of America might be heading down the same road, just a few months behind. Section 3. The Current Situation, 2025. The Domino Effect. Across America, the signs are everywhere. In Nevada, homes built during the 2021 boom now sit vacant. In Texas, investors who bought entire neighborhoods during the pandemic are slashing prices to unload their inventory. And in Florida, insurance costs are rising so fast that homeowners are walking away. Not because of mortgage rates, but because they can't afford the premiums. According to another Reuters report, the U.S. economy is now facing twin headwinds: housing and labor. The data shows the country is short about 4.7 million homes, yet affordability is at rock bottom. That means people can't move for new jobs, can't upgrade, can't downsize. The entire economic mobility system, stuck in neutral. Shelley Stewart III, one of the experts quoted in that piece, summed it up perfectly. Housing affordability is becoming one of the greatest constraints on labor mobility in America. In other words, the housing market isn't just about real estate anymore. It's about the health of the entire economy. Every unsold home, every overpriced mortgage, every family forced to rent instead of buy, it all feeds into slower growth, higher inequality, and deeper frustration. And while policymakers debate new bills and regulations, the market keeps shifting under their feet. Here's the catch. The next crash might not look like 2008. No mass foreclosures. No banks collapsing overnight. This time it's a slow-motion meltdown. Prices creeping down month after month. Homeowners stuck in place. And young buyers giving up altogether. That's how the dream ends. Quietly. But here's where things get really scary. This housing slowdown doesn't stop at the California border. The data now shows early declines in over 30 major metropolitan areas, from Seattle to Dallas to Atlanta. This won't stop here. If this is opening your eyes, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe right now. Because what's coming next could hit your wallet harder than you think. In the next section, we'll expose the real human cost. The families forced to move, the landlords in panic, and the investors quietly exiting before the headlines catch up. Keep watching. The human cost. Here's the truth that headlines rarely show you. Behind every for sale sign is a story. A story of someone who worked hard, followed the rules, and still got crushed by a system designed to fail them. Take the Ramirez family from Los Angeles. 2 kids, steady jobs, solid credit. They spent years saving for a down payment, but by the time they were ready to buy, interest rates had doubled. Their dream home now costs nearly $2,000 more per month than it would have just 2 years ago. They didn't lose their dream because of bad decisions. They lost it because the system changed faster than they could keep up. And they're not alone. According to a legislative analyst's office report, the median Californian household now needs to earn over $237,000 a year just to afford a typical home. That's nearly 4 times the state's average household income. How did it come to this? Because when policymakers focused on growth, they forgot about affordability. And when they pushed for sustainability, they forgot about supply. For decades, California's housing policy operated on the illusion that demand could grow forever. But economics doesn't work that way. It always balances one way or another. And now, it's correcting. The investor effect. When homes become assets. Now here's where things get darker. In the last decade, a growing share of U.S. homes have been snapped up by institutional investors, not families. Private equity firms, hedge funds, and even pension funds have been buying single-family homes in bulk. Their goal isn't to live there, it's to rent them out. Forever. In some suburbs, up to 1 in 5 homes are now owned by corporate landlords. Entire neighborhoods controlled by companies whose loyalty isn't to communities, it's to quarterly profits. And here's the kicker, when prices fall, these investors have the cash reserves to simply wait it out. But regular homeowners don't. They can't pause their mortgage. They can't hold through a down cycle. They're the ones who break when the market bends. This is why housing inequality is rising faster than ever before, and why homeownership, once a symbol of middle-class security, is turning into a privilege of the elite. The economic ripple, so to speak. When homes stop moving now, let's connect this to the broader economy. The housing market isn't just about homes, it's about motion. When people buy or sell houses, they buy furniture, appliances, cars, renovations, insurance, the list goes on. But right now, that motion has stopped. Reuters recently reported that the U.S. housing market remains stuck in a rut due to high interest rates and low mobility. Homeowners who locked in 3% mortgages during the pandemic simply won't move. Why would they trade that for a 7% mortgage and double payments? So now millions of homes are effectively off the market, not because of lack of demand, but because of fear. This housing freeze means less spending, fewer jobs, slower growth. It's why economists now call housing the dead engine of the 2025 U.S. economy. And that's what makes this downturn so unique. It's not a collapse you can see, it's a paralysis you can feel. The government response: too little, too late. So what's Washington doing about it? Mostly, damage control. The Federal Reserve has hinted at possible rate cuts, but even they admit, don't expect housing affordability to recover overnight. Meanwhile, states like California are rolling out ambitious programs, down payment assistance, new zoning laws, and subsidies for first-time buyers. Governor Gavin Newsom recently doubled down on promises to build 2.5 million new homes by 2030. But here's the reality. California hasn't built even half of its targets from the last decade. Regulations, lawsuits, and local resistance keep slowing everything down. So while politicians hold press conferences, the crisis keeps widening. And remember, the longer the market stays frozen, the worse the long-term damage becomes. Because when builders stop building, workers stop working. When workers stop working, supply falls. When supply falls, prices eventually rise again. And the cycle repeats, just with fewer winners each time. If you're still watching, you're already ahead of most people. You're paying attention, and that awareness could protect you from the next financial shock. So take a second. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We break stories like this every week, and trust me, the next few months are going to get even more unpredictable. Drop a comment below. Would you still buy a home in 2025? Or are you waiting for the market to crash? Let's see where everyone stands. Section 4. Real impacts. The human cost behind every percentage point and policy statement. There's a story. A teacher in Sacramento paying more than half her income just to keep her home. A retired couple in Orange County forced to sell after a property tax reassessment tripled their bill. A young tech worker moving out of San Jose, not because he wanted to, but because his $5,900 mortgage payment broke him. These are not isolated stories. They're chapters of a much bigger book, one being written across America right now. From Denver to Dallas, from Phoenix to Portland, the same cracks are forming. High rates, low supply, and rising costs nobody prepared for. And when California sneezes, the rest of the country catches the cold. Section 5, 2025 and beyond, the great housing reckoning economists call 2025 the year of correction. But correction for who? Because while home values adjust and mortgage rates rise, the real correction is in trust. For years, Americans believed real estate was untouchable, that no matter what, home prices only go up. But now even seasoned investors are holding their breath. The market that once created generational wealth is starting to test it. Experts predict home prices could continue sliding through 2026. Renters may face higher costs as investors offload losses. States with tax reforms, like California's Proposition 19, might see massive political backlash. And the question every homeowner should ask right now isn't, how much is my house worth? It's, how stable is the system keeping it afloat? This story doesn't end in California. It starts there. California's housing crisis isn't a warning for the future. It's the mirror of America's present. A reminder that wealth built on borrowed time always comes due. So before the next headline hits, ask yourself, are you ready for what comes next? Because this wave won't stop here. If you found this video eye-opening, subscribe right now to Housing Report, where we expose the truths hiding behind America's property boom and bust cycle. And if you want to see how California's crisis really began, watch our previous video, California's Hidden Property Tax Trap. It'll make the picture even clearer.